Hey, there's Matt once again, and I'm watching this film. I get about 30 minutes into it, and I see this epic quickening. Fucking epic. Cars are blowing up. Entire fucking buildings are shattering. And then this, like, tanker truck. Part of it, the tractor part, comes off, comes towards our hero, who's old. Explosion. Fire. The music erupts. All this done practically, for real. No green screen. No shitty effects. All done for real. Real stuff, the real vehicle sliding, real fire, explosion, sparks. And our hero reintroduced, young now, coming out of the fire with this music. Do, 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 do. I'm like, that is fucking badass. And I'm thinking, man, imagine if Luke Skywalker had that kind of reintroduction in The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi instead of doing that with a lightsaber. This is such an epic, badass, fucking reintroduction. And I'm like, a scene like this is in one of the worst sequels of all time? Bullshit my dick. Kiss my ass. Critics. If you personally feel that way, we agree to disagree. But I'm talking about like these other. I'm talking if you form that opinion on your own, again we agree to disagree. I'm just saying for some of the people who, hell, they'll fucking say that without seeing the movie. I'm watching this film and I'm going, this wasn't a bad film. I'll admit something, doing these series of reviews on the Highlander. I did them kind of backwards. I saw 4 and 5 first, because I knew they were the worst ones. And I pre-recorded those, which you'll see later. Then I saw the third one, which is okay, and then I pre-recorded that review. Then I watched the first movie, I recorded, uploaded that, and this is the last review I'm doing, but not the last one I'll be uploading. I wanted to watch this one last, because I was kind of, this is the one I was the most curious about while watching the Highlander movies. And I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed this movie. This is my favorite Highlander film. I can say that with a straight face. It's not me saying it to be different. It's me saying it because I don't understand the hate for it. The alien stuff, it's not in this version. Maybe because I saw this special edition, I think 2004 version. There was the Renegade cut, and then there's this cut, which improves special effects. So the shield is not red, it's blue, like it was supposed to be. There's a scene, a truck action sequence where Christopher Lambert, Michael Ironside battle on top of a vehicle. Maybe that was for the Renegade version, but it's in this. Maybe because I saw this version and didn't really see the theatrical cut, maybe that's why. This is like if Highlander was in the world of Blade Runner. And it was pretty fucking cool. I really enjoyed this movie. The sword fights were cool. They were fun. I say some of the best sword fights in the entire franchise. The villain, Michael Ironside, he's fun. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If you don't let it out, if you don't take it out to use it, it's going to rust. Michael Ironside was fun. Sean Connery. It was cool to see him back. Shithead? What's a shithead? It was, I thought, sincerely funny. And then when he's back with Christopher Lambert, I thought they had nice banter like they did in the first movie. Virginia Madsen. I actually prefer her over the girl in the first movie. I don't think the girl in the first movie was bad when it was in modern time. I think it was Roxanne Hart. She wasn't bad, but actress-wise, I prefer Virginia Madsen. And granted, they fall in love quickly, kind of like the first movie. But it seemed like they had more scenes together, and I don't know, I just bought the love story in this more than the first movie. The score. It's a well done score. It's my favorite score. I'm not counting the Queen music. I enjoy the Queen music, of course, in the first movie. But the score by Stewart Copeland. This is the guy who was the drummer for the band The Police. Stewart Copeland. He worked on the first Power, See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Good composer. He did a great job in this. I especially love that part of the music. Do, 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 do. I love the song at the end. One dream, ba da da na 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 na. I love the way they deal with the immortality. Like the cool shot when he's on top of the elevator and the elevator's going down, and you see that cool shot of Christopher Lambert on top of the elevator. When it gets down to the bottom, he's all crumpled up and he has to re-break his bones in order to get back out. That was a cool idea. Or how do they get into this place in order to get to where they need to go, and in order to see this person to get information? The two of them go in a car and they get shot to shit with huge blood squibs. I'm like, wow, look at all these practical blood squibs. And if they're immortal, that's an idea that makes sense. And then you get some fun humor. Oh, they're, the morgue attendant. Oh, hundreds of bullets. Christopher Lambert goes 108, and Sean Connery goes 112 myself. And Christopher Lambert's giving him shit. You're not counting that little scratch. And Sean Connery, what are you talking about? It went right through me. I'm seeing cool action scenes like the subway crash, where Michael Ironside is just revving this. And yeah, the plot is batshit insane, and it's wonky at times. You just say that for the first movie. I mean, it's about immortals that, but don't, you have to fight on holy ground, and you can only die by cutting the heads off for a gathering where there can be only one to get this mystical, magical prize, which then you know everything. That's the first movie, so, it's not like the first movie is this logically sound Shawshank Redemption movie. And I like the first movie. But like I said, it's not like Highlander is one of my top 10, top 100 favorite movies. The one thing I think they did the mistake is when they wrote themselves to a corner, because the first film did end with him winning the prize. He was mortal. You only made sequels, let alone a TV series, because of money. And then at the time, they were being asked by fans, where did these guys come from? Whenever you have a franchise or anything and people want to know the origin, they really don't. Michael Myers, he works better as a mystery. When you found out, like Halloween 6, sucked. Aliens, you don't, oh, we want to know where they came from. I never did. Then you have Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and they sucked. Now, it's not aliens here, it's they're in the distant past and they went to the future. Yeah, it's still wonky. You didn't really need that. But it didn't ruin the movie for me. And it's because they did it with, it's the past future thing. It's easier to swallow. And the rest of the movie I thought was really good. I enjoy its ambitiousness in this time where so many films don't want to be ambitious. I appreciate that. I like the idea of a Highlander movie and the world of Blade Runner. That's what this film is. I love the look of this movie. The sets, the way they built all this stuff, where they shot in Argentina, and all this stuff they built, the way it looked. Again, Blade Runner definitely was an influence. And it looked cool. You still have the good Russell Mulcahy direction of the camera work. the opening, where it's going over the opening shot towards the opera house, or when it's inside the opera house, as going back and around and panning towards Christopher Lambert's character, who's old because he's mortal. Later on, when they show a flashback, because these people are dying because of the sun, and it's pulling back, and you see bed after bed, to the point there's like hundreds of bodies that have been fucked up because of this thing. And I was fine with it being in the future, because we're already seen in the present of Highlander. And it just didn't bother me. It looked cool. You could tell they had a budget for it. I felt a certain scope to it. Christopher Lambert's acting, he's fine in the first one. I think it's better here because he has more of a grasp on the English language. He was studying it. He had studied it for years by this point. So I think his performance is a bit more natural compared with the first one. And that's not a knock against him in the first one. I like him in the first movie. But this performance, it's, again, a bit more fluid. There's some genuine funny moments when Sean Connery's learning this world and he's on the airplane and he's showing the safety video and people are screaming in the safety video, and this is what you do if you get in this situation. And Sean Connery's look on his face as he's watching this video being played while he's on the airplane, that was funny. So you have a great villain, Michael Ironside. Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, they do a good job. When they're together, they still have that fun banter they did in the first movie. It didn't try to be the same movie. That's why I don't get when people say the third movie is better than this. I don't get that. The third movie looks cheaper than this. The third movie, I don't even hate the third movie. You'll see in the next one. It's okay. But it was just a remake of the first one. Of course, they did that because so many people hated this. And again, maybe with the theatrical cut, that makes more sense to hate it. But I'm talking about this version, the one I saw. And this is easily better than the third one. So that's just a carbon copy remake. The shield stuff didn't bother me like it did other people. I didn't find it silly. I like the idea that the ozone layer's fucked up, and because of this knowledge he got from the last movie, winning the prize, the shield that protects us. And there's this group of greedy fuckers that want it around because money talks. It's kind of like nowadays you always hear the rumors that they have the cure to AIDS or some other diseases, but they don't want to give it out because a lot of people will be out of business for research and medicine, and you can see that point. Well, not agree with it, but you can see why people have those conspiracy theories, because greed can do a lot. I could see people being greedy enough that, yeah, the ozone has fixed itself this many years later, but we're going to leave the shield up because we want to make more money, because you got to pay us to protect you. But if there's nothing to protect them, we don't have corporation anymore, we're out of a job, we don't have all these millions of dollars. I can see that happening. And John C. McGinley's in this, and he plays he's definitely a weasel character. He gets a fun comeuppance when he gets his balls crushed and thrown out a window by Michael Ironside. The action, the sword fights, the score, the look of the film. I love the Blade Runner look. I love the practical, all the stuff they actually built for this. It wasn't just all on a fucking green screen like you see nowadays with Skyscraper, with The Rock, and all these other fucking movies. And I don't hate Highlander 3, but it definitely looked cheaper than this. You could tell they had a budget, and again, the ambition. I appreciate the ambition for it. And the other action scenes, I love that little flying skateboard thing. That's kind of like the thing in Dolph Lundgren's Masters of the Universe. That was a fun, different type of action sequence. I like that they did not go the lazy route and just make the same movie. But again, just because it's different doesn't automatically make it good. You want to see a bad version of this movie? Watch Highlander the Source. That's what I would tell people who think this is such a bad movie. I want you to pit both these movies up somehow. Watch Highlander the Source first, then watch this movie, then talk to me about it. If you want to talk about bad Highlander sequels. And I just say I like this even more than the first one. And I like the first one. But I thought this one went at a better pace. Again, Virginia Madsen I liked more than the girl in the first one. It's not a knock against the girl in the first one, but Virginia Madsen I liked more. And it was just, again, the budget and scope and the world and the look of it was cool. And maybe a little bit more appealing to me than the first one. Again, if you think I'm not in the first one, I did a review of the first one. I liked the first movie. You know, it takes place in the future, 2024. Pollution fucked up the ozone layer, so the shield was up to protect it. Connor McLeod helped. He's an old man. Again, Russell Mulcahy still has that same great camera work. The action scenes are competently filmed. They're not shaky cam. I understood everything, the geography, what was going on. Again, nice camera work, the panning opening shot towards the opera house and inside the opera house. Flashbacks to his battle and that him and Sean Connery had a bond in the past. Didn't bother me because I thought these two worked well together. You also introduced a Michael Ironside's villain. And apparently there was this battle and they were caught and Connery and Lambert were exiled into the future. Of course, in the original cut, it was exiled to Earth. Although I'll be honest, I don't know if the alien stuff would have, if I had seen that first, I don't know how much that would have bothered me. Since you're dealing with immortals that, you know, all this other stuff going on. Again, I think it's just people didn't need an explanation. And if there's a weakest part of the movie, I would say that's it. And you could tell whoever's narrating this stuff to Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery was ADR to get rid of the alien stuff and the Planet Zeiss stuff. So it's not in this version, so it's easier to digest. I'll just say you can notice that it's ADR. And it's sound to the future, so I guess they were reborn. But I bought it because I liked these two guys together. I felt even more of a relationship between the two characters. When you need me, you only have to call my name. Virginia Madsen's character, she's one of these rebels. I mean, the third film, it tried to copy so much to the first film to the point that even the lady in the third film is this person that looks into this, it's not a sword, but a fabric. And then they both find out the lineage from that way. That's how, I mean, the third one is not that imaginative. But I don't hate the third one. But I don't think it's better than this. Not in the slightest. This one, the Virginia Madsen, she's a different type of character. It felt like she had a bit more spunk. She had a little bit more to her. Like she wasn't as much of a pushover, it seemed. She was one of these rebels that was looking into the shield, and then they find out, wait, the shield is fine. What the fuck? And she'd also look for Christopher Lambert, who again is old. And they're being shot at. Of course, people will come up, because Michael Ironside sends these two guys to the future. And people are like, well, wait a minute, if you're worried about Christopher Lambert, he's old. He'll die any week, any year now. But the movie brings that up. And I like that. They didn't think we were idiots. The movie itself brings that up. Just the two guys tell Ironside, what are you doing? This guy's going to be dead in a couple of weeks. And Michael Ironside says, I don't care. And then Christopher Lambert brings up later, like, look what you did. You know, I was old. I was mortal. Now I'm back to square one. So the movie even mentions it. So people who say that's a problem, the movie even mentions it. It's part of the story. Michael Ironside's character is pig-headed. Like many villains, believe me, many of the classic movies we love, if you look at the villains, they make those same kind of mistakes. At least the movie knows that. It's not making you think as if it doesn't know it. And little bits completely forgot. I can't remember the last time I saw this movie. Like when the old Christopher Lambert goes into this bar and puts money in his jukebox, and a Queen song is in this movie. I forgot that. The It's a Kind of Magic is playing. I forgot there was a Queen song in it. I thought that was a nice touch. I'm like, oh, that's a nice touch to the first movie. He puts money in the jukebox, it's a Queen song playing. I liked that. And then another bit I forgot. This old woman is talking shit to Christopher Lambert, smashes a bottle at him. He's holding his hand. He feels something's up. He looks at his hand, and then the cut on his hand heals. And that's the first inclination of, oh no, not again. These two guys come down, and the old Christopher Lambert's holding his own with one against one of these guys, throws his ass down to this train cart type of thing where the motherfucker gets his head cut off. And again, there's nice wide shots. I'm like, wow, all this stuff, the set that they built. It's a good looking set. Expansive. Big. I didn't like you see in Blade Runner or Judge Dredd. That's one thing I would do. Stallone's Judge Dredd. There's not many I would give, but I would give like the stuff they built physically was well done set wise, design wise. And it's like 30 minutes in, you get that epic quickening. I think they took that footage and used it for the Highlander TV show. That's how fucking epic it was. With the entire fucking building exploding. And cars exploding. I mean, and then the old Christopher Lambert's engulfed in flames. And then he comes out and he's young and I'm like, this fucking badass. One of the worst sequels of all time. Kiss my ass. Critics. This is why I would never be able to make movies. Just no one would want to see the movies I don't want to make. Because I don't think this movie's as bad as people make it out to be. And believe me, good luck trying to find a positive review of this film. You would be better finding the lost ark of the fucking Covenant. Seriously. You'd have easier time than finding a positive review for this. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. I don't give a fuck. I'm the guy that sincerely loves movies like I Come in Peace, Cobra, Hard Target. I don't give a fuck. Yes, I like fun movies with epic quickenings, badass introductions, fun sword fights, good music, cool sets that remind me of Blade Runner, fun performances by villains like Michael Ironside, who fucks up a cabbie by stabbing his fucking tire, throwing a sword through his windshield and kicking his headlights, or crushing a guy's balls and throwing him out the fucking window, or killing hundreds of people by putting a fucking subway car to 300 miles per hour to the point that people are flying back, heads going through windows and dying, and Michael Ironside laughing and having a ball. Virginia Madsen being hot. Did a sex scene with Christopher Lambert against an alley, the wall in an alley. I'm like, dirty girl, kinky, I like it. Flying skateboard battles with sword against swords, and then to kill the second guy, uses a wire to get the guy's head cut off. How did they bring Sean Connery back? Well, he had the power at the end of the first movie. At the end of the first movie, it seemed like that power was limitless. So this quickening power seems like it can do a lot. It just didn't bother me as much as There's more fucking shitty plot lines in The Last Jedi, and most people seem to fucking love that movie. You want to talk about shitty sequels? Force Awakens, Last Jedi are shittier than this movie. And yes, I said it. There's dumber shit in those movies. Fucking Finn. I got all this fucking shit coming out of my thing that was healing me. And as if it's fucking Benny Hill. Goddamn alien horse comes by. It was worth it. We saved that. Animal rights. Call PETA. The Last PETA. Fuck that movie. Connor McLeod was handled better here than Highlander Endgame, which I'll get to, let alone Luke Skywalker was in The Last Shithead. And speaking of that, I love when Connery comes back and he's in the middle of a guy doing a play on Hamlet and he's trying to do it and Connery's like, what the hell's going on? And then the actor gets pissed. He's like, what's your fucking name, shithead? And Connery's like, shithead? What's a shithead? And then he realizes he's in the middle of a play. He's like, farewell, or what was it? Farewell, dear shithead. I thought that was really funny. And he gets a new suit. Again, on an airplane, he's hitting on a girl. He sees the safety video and his reaction to if there's a plane crash. I thought it was pretty funny. And yeah, I thought this movie moved at a good pace. Again, I think a better pace than the first movie. Michael Ironside arrives, and he's like, that was great, yes! And then fucks everyone up on that subway. And even the outside shots of the subway, again, it's like, how did they do that? Did they have a model subway? But it's like, there's sparks on it, and a little bit you see Michael Ironside in it, and it's like I don't think it'll look cheap. It'll look pretty cool. I mean, I've seen fucking $100 million movies that have shit that look a lot cheaper than this flick. Again, I'm watching, maybe because I watched the special edition and it was so different. Did John C. McGinley, he's fun as this weasel businessman of this corporation. Michael Ironside with Christopher Lambert, I thought worked well. Again, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If you don't take it out to use it, it's going to rust. They have a cool sword fight. Again, the sword fights aren't bad. If people think they're bad, I would love to be schooled on why they're bad sword fights. You want to see bad sword fights, watch Highlander 5. Or hell, the fight with Bruce Payne at the end of Highlander Endgame. That's a lame fight. To the point, they fucking, I'll get to that. There's a bit of Highlander Endgame during the end fight where they literally took the same footage and they used it twice, as we're not supposed to notice, but I'll get to that. Well, I already pre-recorded the video, so you will see that later. And yeah, I love the shot where he's on the elevator and the elevator's going down and like Lambert's like right in the middle. And then when he comes down, his body's all broken up and he's got to re-break his body. I like that idea. That's a cool idea. Why doesn't Michael Ironside? Because if he jumped all the way down, he'd break his bones too. And that was a good idea, to get away and use his immortality in that way. I like that. They didn't really do that a lot in the first Highlander that I remember. So that was cool. I like the bit where these two guys meet each other again. And they have this fun, sword fight. Oh, you remember a lot that I've taught you. I've had a lot of practice lately. Watch it. Watch what? The sculpture. Sculpture? That's the sculpture? Now you are being ridiculous. I thought they had a good banter and chemistry like they did in the first movie. And then Michael Ironside, He wants to join up with John C. McGinley, and they say no, and they shoot him. And Michael Ironside, he takes the guy who shot him, puts his ass down, knocks him the fuck out, then takes his mouth and does, and you hear bone crunching. I'm like, ew. He's crushing the guy's mouth open like King Kong would do to a fucking dinosaur. Just, and then he takes just a piece of paper, wipes the blood, and throws the piece of paper. I'm like, this villain is great. Michael Ironside is having so much fun in this role. And then a buddy of Christopher Lambert's is in jail, and it's like, how do we get in there? Okay, we're both going to just drive in there, just shot to shit, like Bonnie and Clyde, fucking, I'm trying, like the Wild Bunch. I mean, they're shot to shit. Like, look, Christopher Lambert, all his knees are getting shot, practical, tons of blood squibs. I'm like, wow, this is fucking bloody. Wow, I mean, I didn't think it'd be that bloody, but it was. And you get some fun humor from that, where Virginia Madsen was hiding in the back seat. Granted, I will admit, thank God she didn't get shot. But, you know, I guess if you think about it, why would they be shooting at the back seat, the trunk? They'd be shooting at the two people that are driving. So I can go along with that. I can. And she pretends, oh yeah, I was kidnapped by these guys. And the Moore tells her, oh yeah, they're dead. They were shot hundreds of times. And like I said, 108 actually. No, 112 myself. You're not counting that little scratch, are you? What are you talking about? It's not a scratch. It went right through me. And another thing I like more than the first one, I like the way Sean Connery goes out in this one more. Because in the first one, it is depressing. He gets stabbed, and then his head gets cut off. That's sad. That sucked. I get the point of it. But here, I thought it was cooler, more fitting for the character. He goes out like a badass. Not like Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi or Han Solo in The Force Awakens. But Sean Connery goes out better here than Han Solo or Luke Skywalker did. Think about it. There's this big fan that's a trap that's going to kill all of our characters. And Sean Connery gives this good speech, you know, if you take your power, your energy, you summon it all up in one time, one plunge, you can accomplish something glorious. And he stops the fan and he pushes it up, saves Lambert and Virginia Madsen. Will I ever see you again? Who knows, Highlander? Stays there, lets them get out, saves them, and then, you know, self-sacrifice in a badass way. I'm like, that's a better way for the character to go out. That's a cool way for the character to go out. That was fucking badass. That was cool. I don't get the hate for this movie. Probably, that's me. That would be mean if I said it. I won't. Well, I was going to say, probably the people who like The Force Awakens, that's mean of me to say, so I won't say that. That's me being a, believe me, I know I can be a dick, so I'm trying to work on that. Trying. So, you know, let me back off on that. I see some, like, how some of these other characters go out in other movies, or let alone how they were introduced. And I think it was done better in this movie than compared to other sequels. And also, I love the music used with the bagpipes when Sean Connery did that. I thought that was a cool musical motif. They escape, they get the scene that I guess they shot a few years after for, I'm guessing, the Renegade cut. And it's Christopher Lambert and Michael Ironside battling out on top of this vehicle. John C. McGinley says the wrong thing to Michael Ironside, and again, Ironside crushes his balls, throws him out the window. You get a decent fight. I would have liked to fight at the end to be a bit longer. Probably that's my other nitpick. The fight scene at the end I would have had a little bit longer. but I still thought it was a pretty decent sword fight scene. I just say like in the end of the first movie, the fight seemed the right length. Again, I would have had this be a little bit more of a longer fight. But he kills the bad guy, uses his power, the quickening, to destroy the shield, and everything's fine. Kisses the girl, stars are showing, the ozone layer was fixed, and you have a cool song, One Dream. One dream, ba-da-da-na-na-na-na. One dream. I'll defend this movie, at least this version of the film. This film is not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. If people say the alien stuff, it's not in this version. People say, well, they're from the past to the future. Yeah, it is wonky. That's what I said. That's one of the few issues I have with it, but I could deal with it. And once I got past it, the rest of the movie, I appreciate its ambition. I appreciate the fact it tried to do something different. And I thought for the most part it was done well, because it had good, fun sword fights. I loved the look, the setting, the sets, the visual style that was similar to Blade Runner. Highlander in a Blade Runner universe. That's what it felt like in the world of Blade Runner. That was cool. The banter between Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery still thought was fun. It played the Mortality stuff with getting shot to shit, or with the elevator scene. That was really cool. Virginia Madsen I liked more than the girl in the first movie. The score, I would say, again, I'm not talking about soundtrack, because I give it to the Queen soundtrack, Prince of the Universe. I'm talking about the score. I would say this is my favorite score, the Stewart Copeland. Again, that one. And plus some Stewart Copeland or whoever, they do have the nice instrumental Who Wants to Live Forever that returns in year 2, which was nice. I thought it had the right amount of flashbacks. They didn't overdo them like Highlander Endgame. That was a film that really overdid it. Sean Connery was fun. Again, I think Christopher Lambert, he's fine in the first one. I think he gave an even more fluid performance. Again, because he had more comprehension of the English language. Again, you still had the camera work of Russell Mulcahy. Crazy action scenes like the subway sequence, the flying, like the skateboard thing Lambert was on sequence. Again, the sword fights. A fun villain. Why is this hated so much? I don't get it. I'm watching this, I'm like, of course, I know I'm the guy that fucking loves Hard Target, and that's silly. I love Cobra, and that's stupid. I love I Come in Peace, that's dumb. I'm not ashamed to admit, this is my favorite Highlander movie. I was surprised how much I liked this. So, I'll repeat. In the next reviews that are pre-recorded, I'll keep saying, the franchise, this weird thing where there could be only one, then there's only one, but then there's like 3 more in the next one, or 5 more, or 100 more when you get to the TV show, which I'm not much a fan of the TV show. And then I'm like, maybe it seems like there should have been only one movie, because that's what makes sense story-wise. So when I repeat that in the next reviews, that's what I mean. Story-wise, seems like it should be only one movie. But as a franchise, I'm glad it was 2 movies. Well, technically there's 5, but to me, I'm glad this was made. I really am. And I'm sure I'm the only person on earth that will say that. And the new remaster, like, this is a DVD, but this remastering looked really good. 24p HD master made from the original film negative. So that probably helps in why it looks so damn good. And yeah, I guess they improved on the effects, the sound, digital remastering. God, I could just imagine what the comments are going to be. But I know it was supposed to be like all these reviews. This is the worst sequel ever. I hate it. I could lie. What's the fun? Fuck that. I'm not gonna fucking lie. It's a fun, kick-ass movie. It really is. I don't get the people who hate this movie. I really don't. I really don't. And if you're still one of those guys who's like, I still don't get why you like this movie, then you go back to the beginning of the video and you can feel free to watch it. And that's probably what I'm going to say. Defending an underrated sequel. Highlander 2, yeah. Thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.